This conference will now be recorded.
So if you see in nature around us, steroids is practically present anywhere and everywhere, whether they are plants, whether they are animals, or whether they are human beings. All of them, in some form or the other, they have steroids in them, and these steroids have a major role to play in our system, in our body. Hence, we need to look at this chapter very closely. Now, if you see a typical steroidal structure, you will see that a steroidal structure has, you can say, 4 rings, and out of those 4 rings, the 3 of the rings are benzene rings. Okay, I assume you can see the. I'll show you the structure of steroids. Can you see? Yes. Okay. So if you see this is the general structure of steroids, and you see that it has 4 rings, A, B, C, and D. And amongst these A, B, C, D 4 rings, 3 rings A, B, C, D are 6-membered rings, while ring D is a 5-membered ring system. And if you count the number of carbon atoms that are present in the general structure of steroids, you could have a steroidal structure with at least 20 to 22, or you can say 18 to 22 carbon atoms. Okay, so it's a huge structure, and please keep a pen and paper ready. You will have to draw a lot of structures on your own this time. Now, if you keep watching this general structure of steroids, keep your palm in front of you, your hand in front of you, and you imagine that it is a plane. It is a plane, okay? And when you say it is a plane, what we are seeing, what is visible to us on the screen is a 2D structure. But when you keep this general structure of steroids in a 3D structure, then assuming that your hand is a plane, you can have a lot of substituents on this general structure of steroids. Now, before we see in detail about the general structure of steroids, we'll see where all and how all can you find steroids in nature. So in plants, you will see there is something which is called as phytosterols that are present. And these phytosterols are of different kinds, like ergosterol, stigmasterol, cytosterols. You may have done it in pharmacognosy, where you have seen plants having these steroidal structures. So these are the steroids that are present in the plant. Then in case of from the animal kingdom also, you have steroids. You have it in the form of zoosterols, and they contain zoosterols like cholesterol, which is also present in the human beings. You have cholestanol, you have coprostanol. These are the different types of steroids that are present in the animal kingdom. Surprisingly, you will also see steroids in yeast and fungi. They are called as mycosterols. When we will study the chapter of antifungal agents, we will see that this exact difference of the type of steroid that is present in the fungi and the type of steroid that is present in the human, the cell, the difference in this steroidal structure is going to help us in designing antifungal agents. Okay, so keep this in mind. Now this, like I said, this steroids, you can get different types of steroids from different sources. In the human beings, there are basically two different types. One is what is called as the sex hormones. The other are the adrenergic sorry, the adrenal gland hormones, or what are called as adrenocorticoids and glucocorticoids. Other than these, also you will see that bile acids which are produced during the digestion, especially when fat digestion is happening, bile acids are needed. And these bile acids, like cholic acid, it also has a steroidal structure. So in general, steroids will play a very important role in the normal functioning of a human being, day-to-day functioning. Right from the time one wakes up, there are till the time one sleeps, there are different steroids in action. In the male and the female, there will be different steroids in different concentrations, and they will have different role to play. They have their own importance, and in case these steroids, which are supposed to be present in the humans, if they are not present in sufficient quantity, then you could have different types of abnormalities or different types of diseases also. Other than this, there is something which from the plants, again we have something called as cardiac glycosides, which are obtained, and these cardiac glycosides are also having steroidal structure. And like the name says, they are used. The name is cardiac glycosides, so they are drugs which are used for empowering or healing the heart. If a patient's heart is weak, then cardiac glycosides are used for improving the functioning of the heart. Now coming again back to this general structure of steroids, you will see over here, you can note down simultaneously this structure or this general structure of steroids: A, B, C, and D rings, along with the numbering. And this particular nucleus has a specific name because of the way it has been placed, and that name is cyclopentaphenanthrene nucleus, or you can call it as hydrogenated 17H cyclopentaphenanthrene nucleus. I repeat the name: hydrogenated 17H cyclopentaphenanthrene nucleus. Now we'll see the reason for this name. 17 hydrogenated. There is a scope for a lot of substitution at this 17th carbon atom in the general structure of steroids. Please simultaneously note down things about the general structure. Cyclopenta. Okay. Now cyclopentaphenanthrene. Now this ABC ring structure, if you view it from this side, then it has a phenanthrene-like structure. The drugs of the class which belong to morphine alkaloids, okay, they have this typical phenanthrene ring structure, and here you have an attachment or an link that joins this phenanthrene ring system in morphine alkaloids. Here, this ABC ring forms the phenanthrene nucleus, and they are all cyclic rings, so they are called hydrogenated 17H cyclopentaphenanthrene nucleus. Now, which all type of substances in your body are going to have this typical general structure of steroids? The adrenal hormones, that is the adrenocorticoids and glucocorticoids, followed by the sex hormones. Then, like I said, bile acids. These three are the main components in the human body which have this typical structure. Other than this, vitamins are there. Some vitamins have this steroidal structure. Then cardiac glycosides, I mentioned, have a steroidal structure. Some alkaloids that are obtained from plants, saponins, have steroidal structure. Vitamin D typically has this steroidal general structure, and all of them play a very important role in the normal functioning of a human body. Now, based on what all can be attached and where all can be attached on this general structure, we have different names. Before we start giving different names and we start classifying these steroidal structures, one thing that you should make a note of is, I told you, keep your hand in front of you and say that it is the plane, and this cyclopentanophenothrin ring structure is present on this plane. Okay, it is a 3D structure. So when it is a 3D structure, you can have substituents which are above the plane and you can have substituents which are below the plane. Okay, please put your imagination to good use and place this cyclopentanophenothrin ring structure, general structure, in a 3D into a 3D plane, and imagine that you are having substituents. These substituents can be above the plane and these substituents can also be below the plane. Now, whenever there is a substituent which is below the plane, we detect it with a dotted line. Okay, this is general stereochemistry that we follow. And when the substituent is above the plane, we depict it with this widget. Okay, it is a thick triangle. You see at carbon number 18 and 19, there is a thick widget, a thick triangle that is present, and it depicts that substitutions at this particular juncture are above the plane. Now, for example, you have substitution at this 5th position. Okay, I'm pointing out the cursor to the 5th position. So you have a substitution at this 5th position. And when you say that you have a substitution at this 5th position, you can either have it on the dotted line or on the this widget. Okay, so you can either have it above the plane or below the plane. Usually you will see that the substitution happening at this 5th position will be below the plane. Okay, so quickly draw this structure and you say that you have a hydrogen bond. Draw a dotted line at this 5th position, 5th carbon atom, and you say that you have hydrogen substituted over here. And when you say you have hydrogen substituted over here, you call it as 5-alpha steroid. Okay, alpha because the substitution is below the plane. If it was above the plane, you would have called it as beta. Okay, so when you have a substitution below the plane, then you call it as alpha. When you have it above the plane, you call it as beta. Okay, so this is how the naming starts. So please mute yourself. So this is how the naming starts. You put the number of the carbon atom first. So you say 5. Okay, then you tell the position, whether it is below the plane or whether it is above the plane. Then you say it is 5-alpha. Okay, then at this position, at this carbon, at this 19th carbon, you have a CH3. Okay, you have a CH3. I hope you are drawing the structure simultaneously. So 5th position you have alpha, H. Put a dotted line and write H. And here you have a CH3. Then you come to carbon number 18. You have carbon number 18 over here. You again put a CH3, a methyl group over here. Okay. And at the 14th carbon, you put a dotted line again and you say that there is a H atom substituted. So you put a dotted line at carbon number 14 and you say it is H. Okay. So when you draw this entire structure, you have what you call it as 5-alpha pregnane. The name comes because it is a hormone which is very much related to pregnancy, maintenance of pregnancy. Okay, so that name comes pregnane, and it is and this structure is related to progesterone. Okay, So this is what would a structure of 5-alpha pregnane look like. This is one part of the structure. Similarly, you can have 5-alpha androsten and 5-alpha estrane. Okay, please note down 5-alpha androsten and 5-alpha estrane. Now you will open your textbooks. The structures are available in 4A. You will draw the structures of 5-alpha androsten and 5-alpha estrane. When you are drawing the structures, see that pregnane, androsten and estrane, all three are drawn in a line so that you can sit, look at them and compare as to what are the structural differences. What are the structural differences amongst all the three? Okay, so this is about 5-alpha pregnane, 5-alpha androsten and 5-alpha estrine. Now the names only tell you that they are going to be very important for us in studying this chapter. What are they going to do? These three basic structures of hormones, pregnane, androsten, and 5-alpha estrane, all three form basic structures for pregnenolone or progesterone, androsten, that is androgens or testosterone, estrane, estradiol or estrogens. Okay, and you know that all three of them, whether it is pregnane, whether it is androsten or whether it is estrane, all of them are sex hormones. Okay, they play a vital role in the development of secondary sexual characters once the aging of the or once the puberty sets in into the human beings. Okay, then you also need to know that you always have a double bond between C8 and C9. I am pointing it out over here. Between C8 and C9, you will have a double bond. Similarly, you can have a double bond between carbon number 20 and carbon number 21. Okay, you can have a double bond between carbon number 20 and carbon number 21. Now, you cannot reverse, which means 8 and 9 are in sequence. You cannot have a double bond between 8 and 14. There are also carbons which are aligned near to each other, but you cannot have a double bond like this. Okay. Similarly, you can have a double bond between 20 and 21, but you cannot have a double bond between 20 and 22. Okay. So a double bond between 8 and 9 will exist. There will be no double bond between 8 and 14. A double bond between 20 and 21 will exist. There will be no double bond existing between 20 and 21. Okay. So this whole nucleus, that is cyclopentano perhydrophenanthrene nucleus, contains these three phenanthrene rings and a 5-membered cyclopentane. Okay, that is why the name cyclopentano perhydrophenanthrene nucleus. That is why the name has come. And I have told you what all substitutions you could have on this particular general structure of steroids. Mostly a hydrogen at C5 in all the three cases. In fact, androsten also, pregnane also and estrane also, they will have a 5-alpha substitution, and whatever variation is going to happen between the three structures is going to be especially at carbon number 17 and 20. In this region, there is going to be a lot of variation that is going to happen to give you androsten and estrane from progesterone. Okay, so this is about the general structure of you can say steroids, not cholesterol. We have still not even reached cholesterol. This is about the general structure of steroids. So what you should know over here is you should know about the name cyclopentanoperhydrophenanthrene ring system, why this particular name came, what are the different substitution positions that are available on this general structure of steroids, when do we name it as alpha, alpha and beta, okay, and what are the basic differences between the three sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone and androgens. Always remember, beta substituting groups, they project above the ring plane, and the alpha substituting groups always project beneath the plane, and they are depicted into dotted lines, whereas here in the case of beta substitution, like shown here, you will have a solid widget or a solid line. Okay. Now we further move on to the synthesis of these steroids. Okay. Why these steroids are important? Now, these steroids in the body of a human being are found in the form of cholesterol. Okay. And if you recollect your biochemistry, we have studied in biochemistry the de novo synthesis of cholesterol. So before you start this chapter, you can on your own when you will be studying, you can quickly revise the de novo synthesis of cholesterol. Now this de novo synthesis of cholesterol is a multi-step reaction, and the key enzyme or the rate limiting enzyme involved in the synthesis of cholesterol is the HMG CoA reductase enzyme. If you recollect, this HMG CoA reductase enzyme is the exact target for the anti-hyperlipidemic agents, so that the levels of cholesterol in an individual can be controlled. Okay, so we have seen this. We have seen the different types: sterols, sex hormones, cardiac glycosides, bile acids, saponins or sapogenins, you can call them. This is the different. This is the classification of sterols. Then we have also seen the types that are present in the human body. These are nothing but the glucocorticoids, the adrenocorticoids, what are called as mineralocorticoids, and mainly the sex hormones. Next, what we see, or what is of prime importance for us, is the biosynthesis of cholesterol. Okay. So what you are going to do is you are going to Am I audible? Okay. Okay, so take down. Pathway for biosynthesis of steroids. Pathway for biosynthesis of steroids. All the steroidal hormones are derived from cholesterol. All the steroidal hormones are derived from cholesterol, which involves a series of enzymatic steps, which involves a series of enzymatic steps in the mitochondria, in the mitochondria and the endoplasmic reticulum, in the mitochondria and the endoplasmic reticulum, in the mitochondria and the endoplasmic reticulum of the tissues which convert cholesterol, into steroidal hormones and their intermediates, into their steroidal hormones and intermediates. Okay, so here you have the cholesterol. This cholesterol is obtained from acetyl-CoA in the de novo synthesis, or which is also called as the Melvanoate pathway. And this cholesterol is converted into what is called as pregnenolone. Okay, this pregnenolone, or the conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone, is a rate limiting step. It is a rate limiting step, and it is mainly coordinated by cytochrome P450 and the dehydrogenase enzyme. So the conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone is mainly controlled by cytochrome P450 and the dehydrogenase enzyme, and it is a rate limiting step. Now it is from this pregnenolone that you are going to get progesterone, you are going to get estrone, you are going to get estradiol, and you are going to get testosterone. Okay, these are marked in different colors if you keenly observe: progesterone, estrone, estradiol, and testosterone. It is from this same pregnenolone that your body will also give you the adrenocorticoids and the glucocorticoids also. Okay, so corticosterone, cortisol, and aldosterone are your mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. And progesterone, estrogens, these are the two estrogens that are obtained in the body. They are shown pink in color. And here there is testosterone, which is shown blue in color. And they are the three different types of sex hormones that are obtained at the end of this pathway. So when cytochrome P450 is present, this cholesterol will be converted to pregnenolone, and the same cytochrome P450 will add a hydroxy group at the 17 position of pregnenolone to give you 17 hydroxypregnenolone. Okay, so at the D ring, this is the D ring. So at this D ring, you can see the difference in both the structures. You are going to draw this pathway on your own. So here you see that OH has been added at the D ring, at the C17 position to give you 17 hydroxy or 17 hydroxy pregnenolone. And then this 17 hydroxy pregnenolone is further converted to dehydroepiandrosterone diol. It is called as dehydroepiandrosterone diol, and from this dehydroepiandrosterone diol, you are going to get androsterone diol. Androsterone diol will give you estrone and testosterone. Okay, so I repeat, you have through the melanoid pathway, you have cholesterol. This cholesterol has been converted to pregnenolone, which is a rate limiting step. Pregnenolone, when added at the 17 position with a hydroxy group, or it forms 17 hydroxy pregnenolone. This is further converted to dehydroepiandrosterone diol, and this dehydroepiandrosterone diol then forms androsterone diol, which then forms into two different types of hormones, testosterone and estrone. Okay, now when you are drawing this pathway in your notebook, see that you draw it on a separate page which you can come back to again and again, because there are some targets in this biosynthetic pathway of steroids. Okay, like for example, there are some anti-cancer drugs which will be acting at this androstenedione conversion at this location. Okay, so here now we have reached the formation of estrone and testosterone. Both of them form estradiol, and you know estrogens, that is estrone and estradiol, are female sex hormones, and testosterone is a male sex hormone, and all three of them are present in different concentrations in the female as well as in the male body. Now coming back again to pregnenolone, some part has formed 17 hydroxypregnenolone. The remaining part will form the hormone progesterone, which is very important in pregnancy. Okay, now it will not end over here. This progesterone, you can have the same formula applied over here. You add a hydroxy group at the 17 position to get 17 alpha hydroxy progesterone. This can also again from androsterone diol, and you can again get the male and the female sex hormones. Okay, then progesterone, some part will go for formation of androstenedione diol. The remaining part will further move on to form the glucocorticoids and the mineralocorticoids. So from progesterone, you will get deoxycorticosterone. From 17 alpha hydroxyprogesterone, you will get 11 deoxycortisol, and from both of them respectively, you will get corticosterone and cortisol, both of which are glucocorticoids. And amongst these, corticosterone will form or it can convert itself to a mineralocorticoid, androsterone. Okay, so this is all linked. If you hamper this concentration, automatically everything else is going to get hampered. Okay, so this is a very important pathway from our very existing point of view. If we need to exist, we need to have good amount of cholesterol in our body. That does not mean that you eat oily food. Okay, so the major important thing starts right from melanoid pathway, acetyl CoA converting to cholesterol, and then in the endoplasmic reticulum, this cholesterol converting to progesterone, estrogens, testosterone, glucocorticoids, and mineralocorticoids. Okay, so this is the importance of this biosynthetic pathway, for steroids. Okay. So what you need to do now is you need to draw this particular pathway with structures in a page in your notebook, so that whenever we are studying different types of drugs which are going to act or replace steroids, then we can come back to this pathway and we can then mark on this as to where are all the drugs that are going to come into action. Now you will not stop only at just drawing this pathway. You have to briefly explain the important steps. Like I told you, conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone is a rate limiting step. Then conversion of pregnenolone to 17-hydroxypregnenolone. Cytochrome P450 is the plays a very important role. Similarly, here also progesterone getting converted to 17-hydroxyprogesterone. Again, there is cytochrome P450 which plays an important role, and in both these reactions, hydroxylation reaction is happening. Okay, then 17-alpha hydroxypregnenolone is going to undergo oxidation at this position. Here it is going to undergo oxidation. You can see the C double bond O which has been formed. It is going to undergo oxidation. 2 carbon atoms will be removed from the C17 and it will form the dihydroepiandrosterone dione. Similarly, 17-alpha hydroxyprogesterone, there will be lyase. It will undergo a lyase, hydroxylase, to give androsterone dione. And then this androsterone dione, there is a typical enzyme which is called as aromatase enzyme, and this aromatase enzyme converts androsterone dione to estrogens, that is estrone. And similarly, there is another enzyme which is called as dehydrogenase enzyme, and this dehydrogenase enzyme converts androsterone dione to testosterone. Okay, now the aromatase enzyme can act also on testosterone and it can give estradiol or the estrogens. So just don't blindly draw the biosynthetic pathway. Name all the important enzymes that I am mentioning just now. Similarly, progesterone will be acted upon by 21 hydroxylase enzyme to give deoxycorticosterone, and this deoxycorticosterone then acts as a precursor to give glucocorticoids as well as the mineralocorticoids. Okay, so without fail, mention all the enzymes that I have told you: 21 hydroxylase, 11 beta hydroxylase, 17 alpha hydroxyprogesterone hydroxylase. Okay, mention aromatase, mention reductase enzyme, mention all these enzymes, so that when we are studying the different types of actions or drugs that are involved in steroids, you have a clear-cut idea what is exactly happening. Okay, now we next see the functions of these hormones. Okay, so the glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids, both of them are responsible for regulating your metabolism, and all the gonadal steroids, as they are called, as the sex hormones, female and male, they are all responsible for development of secondary sexual characters. The mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, you will see, are also responsible in inflammation cases. Whenever there is stress, whenever there is inflammation, whenever there is injury, you will see that you can control the levels of these hormones and you can help in the process of inflammation. If you are following the development or the treatment of COVID-19, one of the one of the major uses one of the major uses that is happening is of these steroids. These steroids are being constantly used to control the inflammation that COVID-19 is causing. Okay, so steroidal therapy is being used successfully in the treatment of COVID-19. Okay, so this is these are the different uses of these steroids. Now, what is going to happen, or what may happen, is that you are going to land up in a situation where, for some unexplained reason or maybe with a valid reason, you are going to have what is called as hormonal imbalance. Okay, now this hormonal imbalance is not only related to the hormonal imbalance happening sexually, but even the adrenocorticoids and glucocorticoids, they also their levels also may increase or decrease. Okay, sometimes the levels are being increased or decreased intentionally. If you have seen a lot of bodybuilding people, they use these mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids to develop muscle mass. Okay, although artificial and sometimes dangerous to the extent that it can cause cardiac arrest, glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids are rampantly used in bodybuilding process artificially. Okay, so there are these two small glands which are placed on the top of our kidneys called as adrenal glands, and all this synthesis of the different hormones is happening here in the adrenal cortex. So although the gland looks very small, it has a very important role to play. So we will be seeing all of them in detail, all the three sex hormones in detail, mineralocorticoids in detail, and glucocorticoids also we will be seeing in detail. So what are these sex hormones? There are three types: estrogen, progesterone, which are female sex hormones, and testosterone as the male sex hormone. Now, is it like that only the male have the testosterone and the females have estrogen and progesterone? No. If you go back to your anatomy and physiology that you studied in the first year, you recollect, all the three hormones are present in both the male and the female. However, it is technically right to have high level of concentration of estrogen and progesterone in the females and high level of testosterone in the males. Now, when the fetus is growing or when the ovary is ovulating, that time testosterone plays a very important role. You can recollect how the menstrual cycle works. Okay, so at that point of time, testosterone plays a very important role. Similarly, when the sperms are being formed, at that point of time also, estrogen and progesterone work hand in hand with testosterone to give a good sperm count. Okay, so it is not that only one has to be present in and not the other. Now, other than this anatomical and physiological sexual development, there are secondary sexual features that have to develop when a human being hits puberty, that is 12 onwards. So what are these? Developing pubic hair, okay, development of breasts in girls, starting of the menstrual cycle. Okay, all of these are the secondary sexual characters that have to develop in the individual human, whether it is a male or a female, depending on that. And all these three hormones, estrogens, progesterone, and testosterone, all three of them play a important role. Now, if you have a disturbance, which we term it as hormonal imbalance, which means either the female sex hormones concentration has increased or the male sex hormone concentration has increased. Either ways, in both the male and in the female, it is going to cause a lot of disturbance. Initially, this disturbance looks very small, but over a period of time, it takes up a very major phase. Okay, so from here, what we are going to look at is we are going to look into the replacements that we can give when these particular hormones are less in concentration in our body. Like for example, if the estrogens, these are the three different types of estrogens which are present in very small, minute quantity, but they play a very important role in regulating the menstrual cycle. That is estrone, estriol, and estradiol. All three of them, out of which estradiol is always more in concentration compared to estriol and estrone. Okay, so these estrogens, which are like I told you, they are female sex hormones, and they help in developing the mammary glands, secondary sexual features of the female. All of them have to be present in the right concentration. Now, for some God forbid reason, if you are going to face a situation where these hormones are not in sufficient amount, you need to use synthetic estrogens. Okay, artificial estrogens means drugs which look similar to estrogens, and they also have action which is similar to estrogens. Okay, so what we are going to study from here is what are the different artificial estrogens that are available, how they can be used, for what they are used. We are going to see similarly artificial progesterones which are used, and the testosterones which are used, for what they are used, and also if need be, what are the harmful effects if you land up using them in more concentration. Okay, so this is what we are going to see in the next class.